ready, John.
You just verify this, and I think so.
Don't turn off.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we've had a little technical difficulties, but we'll get through this. We appreciate everybody attending our Iron County Commission meeting this Monday, the 26th day of January, 2026. And we'll begin our meeting with an opening prayer offered by Scott Scheel. And following his prayer, we'll have John Whitaker, our clerk, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our kind Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet here today and take care of the business that will affect the good people of our county, hopefully in a positive way. Help us to be productive in that goal, and we dedicate our time and service unto Thee here. And in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and what do we need to vote on that, John? So I'll need a motion to appoint Ken Robinson as our commission chair for 2026.
I would move to appoint Commissioner Ken Robinson as our commission chair for the 2026 year.
Second that motion.
Okay, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's your deal.
Thank you. Just like that.
Yep.
And just like that.
Well, welcome. As Paul said, thanks for coming. We're excited to be here today. First thing is I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from December 8th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 8th, 2025.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded.
All in favor.
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
It's going to take some coaching.
Good.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to for approval of claims for payment from December 8th, 2025 through January 25th, 2026.
I'll move for approval of claims for payment. What was the first date?
December 8th.
December 8th. December 8th, 2025 to January 25th of 2026.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we'll move on to a presentation of training regarding open meeting law presented by Sam Woodall.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hope you had a good weekend. I'm here to make your Monday better.
That's awesome. You always do.
That is the right attitude to start that with.
Go. This will be brief. You've all had an opportunity to sit on the commission for at least a year and should be somewhat familiar with how this operates. But we do want to just go over some general guidelines.
No mousy?
Oh, I gotta use this, don't I? No?
Or did it just freeze up on you?
Could just be frozen.
More technical difficulties.
It's not. In the meantime, What's the most common issue that you guys face with open meetings?
Sorry, I thought might have had a battery in my cup.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm going to say making decisions or being asked to make decisions or have conversations that would lead to making a decision outside of a public forum.
Very good. I think that's one that we see a lot. They call that ex parte communication, and that's something that we've touched on in the past. Thank you very much. So you just got to put on your, I'll blame the lawyers. You could say put on your lawyer hat and say, sorry, I can't answer your question, but we can discuss it in an open meeting at a later time. There we go. Oh, of course. This is where I want to start. Slideshow. There we go. So, as you're well aware, the purpose behind all of this is because in state law, we're required to have these meetings openly and available to the public. They want to know what you know. They want to know what's happening. They want to give input. Iron County is perhaps one of the best at providing opportunities to receive public input in just about any forum and regarding just about any topic. So I think you should take that as a win for yourselves, but also for the people of Iron County. But the public policy is this is the people's business, and that's why we have these meetings open. So as far as the legislation itself, the act does exactly what we've talked about. It requires notice. There's different requirements for different things that we take action on. John's your guru because a lot of the notice comes out of his office. Terry's office does a lot of noticing for land use issues. So fortunately, you don't have to be too familiar with the specifics of that. But if there ever is an issue or you have a question about, was this properly noticed? That's a good question to ask. Maybe a member of the public would bring that to your attention saying, I didn't get notice. Was notice properly followed here? And then additionally, record making and record keeping. Again, John's purview, but something that you as the commission are charged with making sure is done. Jeannie's our excellent note taker. She's making sure all the dialogue from our meetings are properly entered, and statutorily that is required as well. Obviously, we're subject to this body of state code, but any administrative, advisory, or legislative body with these particular requirements is subject to the Open Meetings Act. It's more apparent here, but there are some bodies within the counties that may or may not be aware that they're subject to these rules. Some examples. There's very few people that aren't affected by this, but these are those. The definition of a meeting is important, so we do emphasize that. What is a meeting? A quorum. For purposes of our Iron County Commission, a quorum is 2, so a majority. So that's why we have to be careful when we have meetings outside of the chambers here. And when I say meetings, I don't mean the definition under this. I mean, you get together to do something administrative, could be construed as a meeting under certain circumstances. So we just take care to acknowledge that there's a quorum and try to stay within the confines of the law. One of the things that came up most recently was in 2021, I want to say. It was the Kane and Garfield commissioners that were sued by SUA. And there was a change to, I don't know if it was parks or public lands. And they had a meeting with a secretary from the federal government, and it was alleged that they didn't notice that meeting as they should have. Now, that was ultimately ruled to be administrative, but again, because there was a quorum present, it created that issue, that question. There was a lot of other litigation in that case, but it's not relevant to today. So again, a quorum, and for the purpose of discussing, receiving comments, or acting being another key part of what constitutes a meeting. What's happening there? Are you just receiving information, or are you making and acting on a decision? Here's what's not a meeting: a chance meeting. So if you're at All American and Commissioner Robinson walks in while you're having breakfast there, Mike, then that's not considered a meeting, even though there's a quorum. Social meeting, email or text, so long as no decisions are made. You can talk to each other, but again, we want this to be open, and so you just take care in the communications you have, and you're not fixing things behind scenes. Hey, Mike, you make sure you vote for this one, and I'll vote this way. That's not happening, and it should not happen under meeting. Meeting of a legislative body with both legislative and executive responsibilities where there's no funds appropriated, or, as we like to talk about, these administrative operational matters. Sometimes the county just has to get things done. A lot of times the chair is the person that takes care of that, but sometimes it requires just a liaison to be a part of that decision as well, and you all know your roles. You can have meetings where there's an anchor location and we can do them electronically. Those happen very few and far between. I felt like this was more relevant during the COVID years, but every once in a while, if there's a commissioner who just wants to be able to attend the meeting, that we have a quorum, can do so virtually, but there's certain requirements associated with that. And
Sam, is that noticed on all of our meetings anymore for electronic participation, or does it have to be done specific for the instance that occurs?
John, I think that would be specific to that meeting if we were, but
Believe so.
So if one of us was out of town, wanted to participate by Zoom, you'd have to notice it differently.
But I will say, and this brings up something I've kind of wanted to bring up, which is, we've had a couple of bodies get their truth and taxation overturned in 2025, and that's because they didn't readily allow the public to participate electronically, and I feel like we could do better at that.
now I will say,
What do you? What's your?
from my legal perspective, I thought we were doing a good job because you would receive emails or texts, you would read them into the record, and we would have discussion based on those comments. However, from the Lieutenant Governor's office or the State Tax Commission, I believe, were the ones who handed down saying, we want to see more interactive, like they can literally unmute their microphone as though they were here and participate. So kind of like more of a Zoom meeting and less of a I'm sending in my emails. So if we have an important decision, I would err more towards doing everything possible to meet that burden. But from my perspective, the county has been doing a good job with receiving those inputs. But I agree we could probably do something different. Jared probably doesn't want to hear that, but
Well, and I think we could. I mean, Zoom meetings or that type of meeting have come a long ways as far as, just being able now to cast out the link and say, participate if you would like, and then people can at least pay attention, but also, like you say, raise their virtual hand and speak.
yeah.
So,
And that I feel like would take some coordinating, but can be done.
yeah, certainly more work on my part. But, I mean, do you think that that's something we should do every meeting all the time, or maybe just for
I think it would
larger
be,
position? I don't know.
well, and that's what I'm saying. If we're going to go through the effort for those quote unquote important decisions that we don't want to have
Yeah.
overturned, I think it's safe to say we should set that standard in our everyday meetings as well. But that can come in time. As I don't think there's been a complaint from the public yet, but better to be proactive than to reactive as a result of some litigation or decision being overturned.
Well, and I wonder maybe I'll visit with my colleagues around the state as well and see if they, based on some of that, if they plan on changing their practice or not, and maybe report back, because that would be,
It surprised me, frankly, what the State Tax Commission decided.
yeah.
So,
And it would be, and I want to say excessive, but that's actually not, it's just a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. And we want to, like you say, err on the side of sunshine versus not allowing people to participate in any way.
Certainly. Closed meetings are a frequent topic of discussion. One of the things we'll highlight here is just that there's a host of reasons that you can have a closed meeting. Those are all outlined in the state code, and we're good about making a record about what that is. But the main question is, do you have to have a closed meeting? And the answer to that is no. You can decide what is open to the public or if you need to rely on statutory provisions to have a closed meeting, you can also make that decision. But one of the features of the Open Meetings Act and the Government Records and Management Act is that you have a lot of discretion to be as transparent as you would like. So in consultation with the county staff, I think, again, we do a good job about choosing when to close meetings, and we're able to, at some point at least, get to where we're able to share that information as decisions are made. The conditions for a closed meeting, you have your forms in front of you, I believe, right? That talk
yeah.
about what's required. There's a quorum. You got to have a public meeting first, and then announce that you're going into closed meeting, and you got to state the reason for the closed meeting, and then it's voted on, and we want to make that vote
And
a record.
We, on that cheat sheet I prepared for you, when you do it, I roll all of that into the one motion, because when you make the motion, you say under what section of code you're entering closed meeting. So, like, for example, today would be 524204E regarding the potential disposal of real property. And so that's the reason that you go into the closed meeting, and you can't talk about anything else while you're in the closed meeting.
Correct, and that's one of the slides here. You'll see forbidden. You can't approve ordinances, resolutions, rules, regulations, contracts. You can talk about them, but the vote itself takes place in the open. And that also means you can't interview a person to fill an elected position, take final action, except under certain very rare circumstances, and then final votes are on the record. But I didn't put in there, like John said, we're focused on the specific topic. If we have multiple closed sessions, we'll have our closed session regarding real estate. We'll come back in. We'll enter the public meeting again and say we're now entering another closed session for a separate issue, whether that be personnel or another contract, whatever. But that's correct. We have separate documented closed sessions for one thing only. That keeps our ability to have those sessions, and also keeps the record clean for if there's a situation where our closed meeting becomes unsealed by court order, then we know we've only talked about that particular issue. Notice requirements, this goes through the mechanics of that. One of the things that you'll see is at least 24 hours prior to a meeting, post an agenda, date, time, and place. So sometimes we have to make later changes, but usually John gives adequate notice well before that 24 hours. The law does allow for emergency meetings.
Before we move on from closed session, one of the things that we do in the minutes, and this is an important, to kind of drive home the importance of staying on topic and talking only about what we're closed for, is the commission chair has to sign, and I have to affirm, attest that we didn't talk about anything but what we went into closed session for.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that can help incentivize you to follow that is that if you intentionally disregard that, there's a Class B misdemeanor sitting on the table as a possible criminal charge. So I don't think many people do intentionally, but now you know.
but me and Sam will try and keep you in line. I know who's going to keep us in line.
That's right. Emergency meetings, they can happen. I think we've had maybe just a few in the time that I've been here, but they happen. We give the best notice that we can, and go from there. We also include a minute about why we had that emergency meeting. Records, again, there's written minutes, there's a recording, even of the closed meetings you'll see, but those aren't shared unless ordered or under circumstances. All minutes includes date, time, place, names of persons present or absent, and then we talk about matters proposed, the names and substance of information given. So there'll be minute entries about this training showing that it was Sam Woodall who talked about open meetings, and any additional information requested by a member of the commission. There's timelines for when these things have to be published. And I guess this is more of a nod to John and his office than it is for the commission. But again, things to be aware of. If a member of the public asks you, when am I going to get the minutes? well, we know we have at least 30 days before things are drafted. And then video recording is different, I believe. John, tell me what you do for that.
So they haven't actually contemplated the video part in code yet. We are still required to post the audio within 3 days, and we have to post approved minutes within 3 days. We have 72 hours from the end of the meeting to do those two things. We take the extra step of including video on YouTube, so you can always go and watch a meeting afterward. We've done that even for site visits or for...
And how long does that usually go, I guess, before that's posted on YouTube?
I believe it's instant. It's live streaming now, and then I don't know if there's a delay, but that's actually not contemplated in the code, and it's just something that we do to try and...
Again, another reason Iron County is really good about just showing the public what action is being taken. If there is a violation, again, there's the Class B that we talked about, and a court can void the action taken. A violation can be cured by discussing the voided action and taking a public vote in a subsequent meeting. So if there was a mistake, you can kind of have a mulligan and say, we recognize the error, here's the fix, and take the appropriate action. There's also the possibility that you have to pay court costs and fees. The most common violations occur in the closed meetings, where we have the closed meeting, but maybe we didn't come in and vote first to go into closed. Conducting a closed meeting for reasons other than those allowed by the Act. That's why we always try to have that ahead of time. We know exactly what we're citing. Taking official final action in closed meeting. Failing to provide notice. Failing to provide the public meeting notice under the descriptions of the agenda items. We're pretty good about being specific, but again, this is more gate kept by John's office. So. Thank you, John. Our office enforces the Act. The Attorney General, a private citizen, can sue in district court. There's timeframes for private citizens to enforce the Act. And then I haven't heard of any recent current trends, anything from the clerk's office that you've seen as far as open meetings?
No, and I was trying to think if there's any legislation pending that might...
Well, I was going to say,
change it,
I will bring up if there's any legislation changes this year. I'll maybe just take a second to bring the commission up to speed on that. But
Yeah, I got word of it was an omnibus elections bill, so
Okay.
that was filed this morning. So,
any questions you have or concerns as commissioners about the Open Meetings Act? I mean, as I said, you have a good track record. You're doing great, and hopefully you're not mad at us pushing one way or the other as far as making sure we're in the lane, but
I appreciate the guidance.
okay,
we'd rather stay in the lane.
Yeah.
that's right.
And I mean, every once in a while, something comes up, but county attorney's office is always really good to reach out to or touch base with John just to make sure we're in the right lane. And
No, yeah, I feel like if nothing else, we're always a quick call away, and let me check with John, and we talk about it, and we all feel good, warm fuzzies, and move forward. So
Me and Sam spent a bit of time reading code.
that's right. No, that's it.
Super awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Any other questions? Do you feel trained? You ready to go?
Absolutely. I know how to get a hold of you if
That's
I'm
right. That's right. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Sam. Okay, so we don't have any department reports.
Nicole was here. We can invite her back in the
Have-
amount of time we have.
Terry's sitting back there all comfortable.
And just so you know, I think what we'll probably end up doing is foregoing the recorder, treasurer, assessor, and we'll just catch them on the next time because
meeting.
we didn't meet last time and we bumped their reporting today. They weren't too broken up about it.
I'm sure.
Okay.
So we can go on to commission reports. Mike, you want to go first?
sure. Hold on a moment. It's been a minute since we were here. I'm just going to go off the top of my head just a little bit, because there's a lot. I'm not going to go into every little specific, but we have cumulatively we've been working on the jail. We've been working closely with Layton. The progress there is great. We're seeing, I think we're pretty much on schedule. We've talk a lot even about the color of the door latches, so it's very in depth. But we really
A lot of discussion about the color of the door.
but things that are moving forward really well. I've been working a lot with George. So I've spent a lot of time with George Colson, our emergency manager. We did get and we've talked about House Bill 48 and the Wildland Urban Interface. We did get those maps back. I don't even know where to start with that. It's super complicated. Basically, what the state has done is said we're going to generate a map that shows hotspots of wildland urban interface as far as wildland fire. People that are in those ranges are going to be assessed fees, and it's all on the county to do these things. The map, and I'll just say it, the map is terrible. There's a lot of pushback, and we've talked about it before, but there's a lot of pushback legislatively. The county was required to pass, basically accept the program and pass a resolution to handle the program. We're required to do that the 1st of January, and we're not going to do that. The program is a mess. There's a lot of pushback legislatively, and we're not going to jump on board with that until they get things fixed at the state. So then I've met with the fire chiefs, met with our legislators, emergency management, just over and over and over again. So that's an ongoing thing that we're not ready to put into place yet. Another thing I've worked on a lot. Just a little bit of background. 2 years ago, legislation was passed that puts public safety, EMS, basically EMS response in the purview of the county. So we don't have Iron County Ambulance. We don't have an EMS system, but we are responsible for the performance of those folks, of those providers. And if the county's not happy with that performance, then it's up to us to do an RFP to find new folks. We have Gold Cross Ambulance that we have as our EMS provider. Currently, we have Intermountain Life Flight as our air ambulance service. And so we've been working together a lot just to try and make sure that those entities are working together. And I'm really happy to say Gold Cross, really everybody's coming together, everybody's gelling. It's been interesting as those entities now understand that they're kind of under the county kind of supervises not their day-to-day operations, but their performance. We've had some really great meetings to help dispatch, make our dispatch more clean, make our response times better. I've spent a lot of time on that. It's coming together really well. I'm just going to leave it at that. There's a lot, but those are the things I've been working on the last couple of weeks.
Okay. Good.
Paul, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Terry, you met with Kenley Horn. I couldn't make that meeting, but on the transmission line with Nancy and there's a transmission line being built. It's called Silver Rock Transmission, and it's going from the IPP down to El Dorado, Nevada, or somewhere down in there. So appreciate you guys. I couldn't make it that day, but I appreciate you guys. Did that go okay, Terry?
Yeah, I did. They had some good information on how they're going to try to follow most of that trans-west power line, transmission line that goes west anyway. So stay fairly close to that.
Okay. I appreciate that. We had our 5-county meetings, and that went well. At the visitor center, they've officially moved out 5-county out of that office space. Terry, and I think you said, sorry, you might want to just come up. I just had some questions for you, but so they can get it in the minutes. But they've moved out. I guess there was a copy machine left that we need to.
No, I think they've got everything taken out finally.
Everything's gone.
They are finally gone. That is one thing I did want to talk to you about, that space. And I don't know if now's a good time if we want to wait in between. Because, and I know on one of your regular commission agenda items is USU extensions. They have reached out to me a couple of times, and I did talk to Mike last week about it. They want to try to take more space downstairs. I think we want to visit before we say that they can get more space on what we need, because we do need more office spaces for the county. But 5 counties is out of the south end of that building. USU on the north end want to visit about some more space. So that is empty there now.
Okay.
And they've got it cleaned out. We was there Wednesday afternoon.
I think
and
so.
Pretty well cleaned out. So,
Okay. That's just all I had
okay.
to ask you about. Darren Bushman, our new director for 5 counties, doing an amazing job trying to find ways to save
Good. Yeah, I
everywhere he can,
understand.
and he's doing a fantastic job. So
Okay.
thank
Anything
you.
else on
Appreciate
that?
it. No.
And then I may talk just a minute in between on that other item on that space.
Okay. Thank you. One thing I wanted to bring up, one thing that we're having a challenge with, and I really haven't talked to the other commissioners about this, or John or anybody. I did talk to Sam about it, about working. One thing we're struggling with in Iron County right now, and maybe some of the other counties too, is Sitla, that owns the state institutional trust lands. There's a lot of our ag producers that have they graze their cattle or sheep on these allotments, and Sitla is coming in and they will make an agreement with a solar company to move in, and they're not giving our ag producers any notice whatsoever, and they're just basically coming in a week or two before, saying, oh, by the way, you've got to move your cattle or sheep, and it's really not fair to our ag producers. It's really hurting them. And they're putting solar panels on prime, ag producing ground. I would like to, I asked Sam to maybe start entertaining an ordinance in Iron County where in the past we've worked with these solar companies and given them a tax incentive, right, John? Is that what we call it? And we've in the past given as high as 70%? And I know the last time we thought that's maybe high. It's not quite as beneficial to our taxpayers as what we thought, so we moved it. I think we did the last one at 50%. The solar company agreed to that, but I would like to see us on these solar issues with the ag producers where it's hurting them so bad is basically offering nothing as a incentive, so that it discourages them from doing this. It doesn't give us complete power, but it does discourage them from hurting our ag producers. And so I would like to see us start working on an ordinance in Iron County to protect them, and maybe maybe also include that. We've talked about this a little bit, is to if when we do approve a solar project if we do on certain ground, is also encourage them to plant grass under those panels so that sheep, it doesn't work for cattle, but sheep can graze underneath those solar panels and still use that land for multiple use. And so that was something I talked to Sam about last week, and just wanted to mention that's something I'd like to look at.
You know, I've got a few contacts at Sitla. I wonder, too, if even just procedurally we can ask them to be more considerate of the grazers on that.
Well,
Because that seems like poor form, if nothing else.
it's in very, but they're taking our prime ag producing land and turning it's just, if it's private, it's one thing, but where it's state owned, I would just like us to basically not offer any incentives, so it discourages that use. That's where I'm at. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and I agree with that. I've voiced my concern with solar farms here and the scam that it is. I guess I'll just say it. Just a tax incentive to large corporations to just pass hand to hand one to the other till they get their tax break, and then they pass it on to the next one.
One more quick thing that I failed to mention with the solar. Are we requiring a bond right now so that when those they see the end of their life that they have to come in and clean it up?
Cleanup part. I don't believe that's in the project area plans.
I would like to see us-
Terry could
put
speak
in.
to that better
Okay,
than I could.
that's one thing I want to make sure we do. If we haven't been doing it, that we make sure we do in the future. Sorry.
I don't know how much bond we have on it, but there is a decommissioning plan that's very detailed to clean those up at the end of their life. So yes, there is.
Is there money put in an escrow account?
I don't know if they. I don't know on the part of the bond money put into an escrow, but that is part of it that both the landowner and the
Okay. Because like Ken said,
solar farm have to go through.
they change hands so much. It'd
Yeah,
be
they
nice
do.
to make the initial applicant put a bond up,
Right.
so that there's money there to clean up the mess when it's over.
And that one we can review because we do have a couple that's been talking, so we can look at that and put a dollar amount on that and see what we can do on that.
I wonder too if maybe we want to visit with Adam Long about whatever teeth we might have as far as that goes, as far as enforcing the decommissioning paragraph in the. I'm assuming it's the project area plan.
It's pretty detailed. It's pretty good, I think. The money is the issue that I don't remember if we got in there, but the decommission's pretty detailed on that. Is what they have to do on that one. So I think we're good there. And we are on record, so I'm back with you guys. Giving them incentives, I don't know if that we really need to do it. If they want to build, they can build. They'll build if they want to. That's something that we can look at. There's nowhere else. Beaver County doesn't give them the incentives that we have. The other places haven't given them the incentives that we have to come here. So if they want to build, put them here, let them come, but make them pay for it.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
okay.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you. And then just to make a quick comment on something that Commissioner Blake talked about with the HB 48, I had an opportunity to sit down and go through my insurance program for this coming year. And I asked my insurance agent, do you guys even care that there's a map out? Does that matter at all? And he said, absolutely not. The insurance companies are going to do what they're going to do, and this HB 48 is just an overreach in my mind. So several meetings that I've had, as was discussed, the opportunity to sit down and go through projects at the jail and how that's coming along, and a lot of people are starting to see the walls come up now. It's great to see that. A lot of work going on the ground, and nobody notices what's going on until all of a sudden it's up in the sky and changes the skyline of that area. So that catches a lot of attention and is moving along quite nicely. I had several calls concerning roads and developers and realtors and how certain areas in the county are, I'll just say, marketed as a county-approved road and in county maintenance when a developer will give that road to the county. And doing some research on that, it's very loosely worded how a road is deeded over to the county and the expectations of a realtor or developer or a prospective buyer and who's going to maintain that road. And so that's created some issues. It's created a lot of issues and it's been ongoing. So I've got with the Board of Realtors and trying to set up a meeting to discuss that and take that head on. Also to be discussed in that meeting is land use with prospective buyers that are buying properties that are next to public lands with public grazing, either cattle or sheep. Utah is a fence-out state, meaning that if you buy a property next to a public land and you do not want the livestock that has a grazing permit on that land in your property, it is on you to fence them out. And that is misunderstood with a lot of what's going on. There's a lawsuit right now about a incident that happened out around Old Irontown where a gentleman went to move out a bull that had come in on his property and was injured by the bull. And so now he's suing the owner of the bull. But it is the landowner's responsibility to fence out livestock. So that's about it. We'll end this and we'll start our commission meeting at 10 o'clock. take a short recess. So do I need to declare the meeting open or
What would you say?
just welcome everybody out?
Recess, yeah.
All right. We'll go ahead and start back up. Thank you for attending. First item on the agenda today is a public hearing discussion and possible denial of a proposed zone change ordinance 2026-1 to the Iron County zoning map. Zone change from RA-20 rural agriculture 20 acre to commercial on approximately 22.48 acres located near 200 South and 2400 West, Parowan, Utah. And Brett's going to present on that.
Good morning, Commissioners. So, just going through, we'll just get our bearings here first off. So we are not too far away from where we're sitting now. The project location is just near the South Interchange in Parowan. So just about a half mile or so from the new Maverick that was just opened up a few months ago. So the current zoning on the project site is rural agriculture, 20 acre. As you can see indicated here, it's two different properties, and it is adjacent to residential 5 acre, RA-20 surrounding, and then you've got some agriculture 20 acre a little bit further to the west. And then this boundary here that you see, that is Parowan's existing municipal boundary. So that new Maverick sits right here on that corner of 2200 West and 200 South. So again, this is just an aerial view of the site, project site, vacant property, both of them within Greenbelt for agricultural. You've got residential homes to the north and then residential home to the east as well. And then you've got I-15 to the south bordering it. So the proposed zone change, again, both those properties together make up about 22.48 acres. And they're, again, proposed to be rezoned from rural agriculture 20 acre to commercial. And the proposed use to change to commercial, they are interested in doing storage facilities. So these are just some exhibits. This is the Fiddler's Canyon property that's up against I-15. It just kind of shows a rough layout of the storage facility that they would be interested in doing. Again, some additional photographs of different storage facilities that the owner has at other locations around the county that they'd be looking to do at this site as well. So obviously for all the rezones, you're all very familiar with the rezone evaluation criteria. There's 13 different points that are typically evaluated when we're looking at rezones. Some of the ones that we want to just highlight and we'll go through. But based on these policy evaluations, staff's recommending denial of the requested zone change. This went to the Planning Commission January 8th. They made the same recommendation as well to recommend denial, mostly based on some of these points that are kind of bolded here below. So absence of sufficient acreage. So as you know, our rezone criteria notes 40 acres or adjacency to the same zone. Talks about different infrastructure, so lack of existing or planned infrastructure. It's within our Tier 4 area, which is intended for rural. There's limited access for a commercial type use. You'd have to go past residential in order to get to that commercial. Incompatibility with the adjacent properties being residential. And then there's existing commercial within Parowan that demonstrates, that there's commercial in the area. So really what it comes down to is with all these things, you could note that, hey, all those things could be resolved, all those things could be fixed. But really what it comes down to is the county doesn't necessarily have the capacity to absorb, that type of commercial development. So because of its adjacency to Parowan, the best scenario is likely that properties would annex into Parowan City if they wanted to do commercial development. So especially with this, with it not being adjacent to other commercial development, and with it not meeting the acreage requirement that we have, staff and Planning Commission felt it was best to recommend denial and potentially look at other options of, looking at annexation into the city. Again, so this property alone itself could not annex into the city. There would have to be properties further to the west, so that, because it's currently not directly adjacent to it. So that's one, I guess, clarification I'll make. So just another of the county goals and policies that I'll make note of. Some of the main goals are to maintain rural qualities, to encourage growth in areas most compatible of providing the public services. So again, I think falling into that possible annexation, in the future for being able to provide those public services. Direct the growth and development, which is most compatible with surrounding land uses. And then a couple of the policies that I highlight here require access to higher density land uses and commercial developments from major, secondary, and limited secondary roadways, and not from low density residential neighborhoods. So the right-of-way that we do have that goes between those two properties, it's only a 50-foot wide right-of-way, which is just basically a local collector. So it wouldn't be able to handle a capacity for commercial development. So again, 2400 west, 50-foot right-of-way. And then the other policy I wanted to highlight is to maximize use of all major, secondary, and limited secondary roadways while minimizing use of all collectors and local streets. Protect residential neighborhoods from intrusion of undesirable through traffic. So that's another issue where, again, in order to access a commercial property down here, you'd be going through residential, and so it just, again, it kind of conflicts with that policy as well. So just a quick overview again that we can have up on here. The applicants and owners are Frank Nichols and Ryan Brindley. So again, the whole property, 22.48 acres. And I think that's misnoted on there. It's approximately 200 south and 2400 west in the Tier 4 proposal, RA20 to commercial. And again, this is a legislative decision, so it'll be the commission here. The recommendation from Planning Commission was for denial. And obviously there's I think some history on the property that if you have any questions on anything, feel free to ask. But if you don't have any questions, there's a public hearing, but let me know if you do have questions.
Public hearing.
Yeah. So,
Just declare a public
well,
hearing.
okay, the chair declares a public hearing for this action.
Ask them to approach the mic and state
Yeah.
your name.
If you have comments, please approach the mic and state your name.
I'm Frank Nichols. I own the 5 acres along the freeway, and it has a county road to it. I'm amazed at what I hear. I just found out the other day that my property was rezoned to R5, and now I found out it's back to where it was just now. And now it's A20. Is that right? RA20. Now I'm back to RA20, or was that something different a while back? It was A20. Now went to A20, and then now went to R5. Now where did we lose the R5? I was just R5 the other day in your office. I was R5. Okay. We got these 13 points to evaluate thing. I apply for zoning. I'm not privy to the 13 things that you do things. I find out about that at the county planning and zoning meeting. And the next day I go meet with Brett, and I found out a lot of things that I take exception with how they made decisions of things. I don't think that's not fair. There was rezoning a year ago, and things are not looking right. Anyway, we propose something that's logical and put to just what's being done around Iron County. There's storage units along the freeway, sandwiched between roads, and so it's something that's done. It's a good place for that. Sorry about this phone. I got to turn it off. So we were adjacent to commercial property a year ago, and then we're not. And if what we got to do is go round up more people, Brindley, Ryan has more property. He can throw in and make it attach it to it, and we can make the 40-acre thing probably. So I think things are just not quite right here. And this is a logical thing to use with the property. We would like to put in storage units and alongside the storage units put some billboards. And Ryan is in the business all over Iron County, and what he has is a perfect place to put AA storage. And we're talking about how much traffic we're going to get. How bad is that? Well, Holyoke Lane is a lot of traffic. We're not going to increase traffic whatsoever. Anyway, I'll let somebody else speak before I think of about a half a dozen more things to say.
Any other comments?
This is Rex Jessup. Been working with Mr. Frank Nichols on this property. So the idea is to do like covered storage RV stuff along the frontage there, like you said. But I serve on the planning and zoning board in Hilldale, little town. And to me, it doesn't really make sense to have residential right along the freeway. So just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ryan Brindley, for the record. As Frank was talking about earlier, I do have storage units in different areas in Iron County. I don't remember if anybody's talking up here and just stating, I think with what we want to do, some of the things that, like sewer, I don't think that we would need a sewer system for what we're trying to do. Some of the things there we wouldn't necessarily need that are on the list. I think we probably ought to look at that a little bit further and see if that's something that could work out as far as that goes, to rezone it for that. I understand right now from what the county's saying that wouldn't work for some commercial uses and different things, but for storage, I don't know that it wouldn't work for that in a commercial zone there. So, the property's just kind of there. I think it's kind of in an area that it could go either way. We wouldn't want to affect any of our neighbors in a negative way or hurtful way. I do feel like that storage units are kind of a neighborhood type of thing. They're in neighborhoods. They're in residential areas. A lot of times they serve the residents nice. They make a place for them to put stuff and get out of their own yards and clean up their own places and put it there. That one thing I'm just kind of wondering a little bit about, and I think it is the Utah law, but they're talking about when you guys rezone property that you'll post it and put it on websites. What about someone that's out of town and has a piece of property and has no idea that their property is going to get rezoned? What can we do to address that? I mean, do you guys feel like that a private property, or this isn't just for me, this is for everyone? Do you guys think that someone ought to be notified in some direct way that their property is going to be rezoned? How do we do that? These guys are talking about it costs a lot of money to send out certified letters to do that. But if I have a piece of property out in the county somewhere, I would want to know that there was a possible zone change for that property. And I'd want the opportunity to come talk to you guys about addressing it and seeing what I could do about it. But I'd need to be notified about that. I don't know, on property tax, if I needed to pay an extra $15 for my property taxes to receive a certified letter that my property was going to be zoned, I don't know. I think that's something that could be thought about a little bit there. But, that's just kind of my take on it. Like I say, if there's a few things we'd need to look into it further that we could do to make it work there, to dress for storage. I don't think all the requirements would have to be there for a storage yard where they would for others. And that's about all I would have to say. Thank you for listening to me today.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. My name is Brad Robbins. I own the farm at 2379 West, 200 South in Iron County. And I think you already received my letter of opposition in regard to this zone change. Recap a little bit. We are 100% in support of staff's recommendation for denial, 100% in support of what the Planning Commission did in denying this application too. But before I get to this application, I want to do something that probably you don't hear very often. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for what you've already done to help us as rural residents in Iron County. Approximately 6 months to a year ago, you went through and proactively changed zones in a lot of different areas, and that affected me directly. I had commercial zoning located right to the north of me. That got changed to R5, which is the same as my zoning. Thank you for that. That made my farm basically stay a farm and not be taken over by commercial someday. To the south of me, you changed the zoning from agriculture 20 to rural agriculture. You got rid of all those obnoxious uses that were part of the agriculture 20 zone. Thank you for that. So much appreciated. And by the way, their property is zoned, the applicant's property is R20. Theirs got rezoned. Thank you for doing that too. To this application represents the exact same thing that you just fixed about 6 months to a year ago. You're trying to eliminate urban sprawl. You're trying to eliminate commercial zones being just randomly placed around the county. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to do what you tried to stop. And this really represents a spot zone. There is no commercial zoning in Iron County anymore. The closest commercial zoning is in the town of Parowan, as you're aware. There's no commercial zoning around me, and thank you for that. Now, if this happens, we're going to have a change to our quality of life. There's going to be a road next to me, as the staff just talked about. That road is 50 feet in width. It's not capable of handling commercial type traffic. We're going to have crime. We're going to have more traffic. We're going to have noise. The applicant's talking about doing a trailer storage and what's basically going to be another Sea Crate Village out there, which there's many along Interstate 15. And that's incompatible with my farm. That's incompatible with the uses that surround my property. So in addition to that, let's say this go ahead and gets changed, which I hope it does not, but let's say it does. Commercial zoning will be in that property. They don't have to do what they're telling you they're going to do. Any zone, like commercial, for example, has got permitted uses. Any permitted use in that zone can be on that property. They could turn around and sell it next week. So with that, we do not want this to happen, obviously. And we do not want to see a potential of 4 billboard signs along the freeway, which is going to destroy our quality of life. There is no good or logical reason for this to occur, and there's no justification, as the staff has basically said, the Planning Commission has said, and we as residents who are out there are saying. This is all about a developer trying to make a few dollars, and we're the ones that have to have the consequences of that. We are asking with you and pleading with you for your help. Please stick to your previous stance on eliminating unplanned urban sprawl and deny this application outright today. And please don't continue this. We've had to deal with this for the last 2.5 months trying to figure out what's going to happen to our quality of life. Please don't do that. And you know, when it comes to developers like to point fingers at a lot of different things out there when there's not a lot of merit in what they want to do. And honestly, there's no merit in this. So please help us deny this application. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, my name is Becky Bennett. I live in the house directly next to the proposed zone change. I'm also here to plead and beg you guys to please help us protect our way of life. When Frank came and told us that he was going to go commercial, we were absolutely terrified. We didn't know what to do. My husband and I we did our due diligence. We knew that we were an RA. We knew that you guys eliminated the obnoxious uses, and we loved it. We were stoked. We were expecting our first kid in a couple of weeks, and we were really looking forward to raising him in Iron County. We're afraid that we're not going to be able to. We're afraid that our current way of life is going to be destroyed by commercial. We are afraid that, yes, Frank has a proposed, plan for his storage unit, but the AAA storage has not submitted, at least if I've seen, any proposed plan. They could sell, and it could just be zoned commercial, and we could be stuck with something really obnoxious right next to us. And that's not what RA 20 is for. That's not what you guys changed it for. And so I'm really just here to please ask you to help us protect our way of life, protect my family, and just help us with this, please. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ray Adams, and I am here as a representative of the Kenneth H. Adams Living Trust. Our situation is included in this recent zone change, but we're got a little bit different situation. Our property is frontaged on 200 South and is considerably bigger. We are right in between Brad Robbins and the new statewide equipment down there. My dad bought that property zoned commercial as an investment, and he's no longer with us, and this unsolicited zone change has affected some things that we have put in motion already, appraisals, assessing what's going to be done with the property, and it has hurt what we're doing. I understand the residents that live down there. I understand their point of view, but also came in and bought a piece of property right next to a piece of commercially zoned property. And we are going to be asking that to be changed back. Not in this meeting. I just wanted to get up and let you guys know where we are at with it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. My name is Christian Bennett. I'm the husband of my pregnant wife over there. I'm also a licensed engineer in the state of Utah, and I just wanted to express my my negative disposition towards this. But I just wanted to start by reading straight from the ordinance about what the RA 20 zone includes. It's very brief. It says it's designed to protect and preserve land suited for farming, ranching, the production of food and fiber, open space, recreation services, or related purposes, and minimal real estate living, and most importantly, to protect from encroachment of incompatible uses. The R5 also goes on to say, provides single-family housing choices to meet the needs of Iron County residents, to offer a balance of housing types and densities, and to preserve and provide safe and convenient places to live. These districts are intended to provide for well-designed residential uses free from any activity or use that may weaken the residential integrity of these areas. And the reason I bring that up is because everything that's being proposed here directly goes against that, and it goes against the work that's been done previously of changing from RA20 or from A20 to RA20. And I know it was mentioned previously that it doesn't make sense to have residential next to the freeway, but if you drive along I-15 from here to Salt Lake, there's residential along the freeway in just about every town there is. So I think that's a moot point. And then on top of that, if this commercial zone change were to go through, it would create a spot zone. It doesn't meet the zoning of the area. It would create an island, and it's outside the annexation boundary for Parowan City. So I disagree with that approach as well. And then on top of that, at the Planning Commission meeting, there's a lot more information presented that there was presented here. It was stated that the entire point behind this proposal is to put billboards, and the only way to put billboards is to put a structure on the property. They don't want to build storage facility. They want to build billboards, and it was proposed at the Planning Commission meeting that they're going to do a phased construction in 3 phases. The first phase is going to be incredibly small, just to meet the intent of putting a storage facility, so that way they can put their billboards up. Those next phases will probably never be built, and we'll be stuck with a half-built Seacrate Village next to us with a bunch of billboards. So I just wanted to bring that up. we're very against this, and we appreciate the work that's been done, and we hope that you guys carry on the staff and planning commission recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Rex Jessup again. I'd like to create some clarity on this. We very much do want to do some covered storage. I do have a storage facility in Hilldale, and you know, it's very quiet. It's not like there's a lot of traffic. You got your storing trailers, and people, they come once, twice, 3 times a year. A lot of times it's I think it's a little bigger in their head than they're proposing. And as far as just strictly for the billboards, I think that's not true. We do have designs and plans to do some covered storage and make a beautiful spot. And anyway, thank you.
Frank Nichols again. I'm learning things this thing happened. Brad just said when the rezone was, there was commercial property north of him. I think whoever that is doesn't know what happened to them either. They got a zone. Did they know? Who knows? I bet they don't. I'm confused about. I'm going this zone and that zone, and I was the other day. I was R5, and I think the Adams property was zoned R5. I'm not sure about this thing, but where do I get the accurate information? Maybe it's up in the air and we don't know. But you talk about urban sprawl. Is this urban sprawl? What's urban sprawl about? Commercial happens along freeways where the traffic is. There's 25,000 cars a day by there. It's a noisy place. No matter what the zone is, it's a noisy, not a too pleasant place for people to be. So, what do we do? Come back and get 40 acres of commercial? Because Ryan has enough property probably to qualify to make the zone application. It's a good place along the freeway, and I wouldn't believe that the Hollyoaks, which are just north of me or west of me, they probably someday want commercial property too. So I think if you look what's logical along the freeway is where things happen, and there's a reason for that. What we want to do is exactly typical of what's happened in Cedar City in the Hamilton Fort area. They've a commercial storage units right at the freeway, and Ryan has just south of there. Ryan has another setup. This serves the public. This is not self-serving all the way. I mean, people need these for services. They need billboards. They need storage, and maybe you need to take this under advisement before you make a decision about what's what. But I can tell you, I know something. I'm learning a few things. Brad Robbins bought this property that he has where these little trees are on. It was commercial property. He bought it because it was commercial property, and then he wanted to have a residence on there. And then Iron County has a rule. This is 2012, I guess, that you can't have a residence on a commercial property. So to do what he wants to do, have the trees and sell vegetables and whatever there, he had to change it to R5, which was welcome in the middle of commercial property. He got R5. Now that's some background. You can check it out. It's true. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Since my name was mentioned, I'm just going to clarify. I got that property in 2012 through a bankruptcy court, and the bankruptcy court told me that it was R5. When I actually started to develop that property, I found out it was zoned commercial. I changed it to R5. I have no intent ever to change my property to commercial, ever. Even if they try to do an annexation, I will not be a part of it. My property is going to stay a farm, as it should. Thank you.
Terry Palmer, the Iron County Building Official. Just a couple things I want on record if the zone change does go through. That there are certain things in the ordinances that Frank and the Brindleys would have to comply with. We have not worked, they have not been kind to work with us on one of their other projects in the county. There is a 75-foot right-of-way setback from I-15 to any structure, so they would have to have that 75-foot setback that they have to have from any structure or building. Storage units, they need to be attached to the ground with through a permanent foundation system. They have not done that on his previous ones because he said it was going to be a storage yard. Now they're in the process of changing. So those couple of things I need on record so that they know that there will be things that they have to comply with if they want to, if this goes through, before they can build anything, is to make it work for them. Other than that, you've heard both sides. That's where you need to make a decision. Appreciate you guys.
Terry, could you speak to the zone change notification?
Yep,
That was another one. I didn't know how much we wanted to go into it. State law 2 years ago changed that we do not have to mail and notify every individual landowner through a zone change process.
That's a state ordinance.
That is under state ordinance. We've talked with the commissioners previously that if we were to notify every landowner in a zone change process, we would be between $3,000 and $30,000 possibly in billing, which we don't have a budget for. That would have to come out of taxpayers' monies. So state law says if we post on site or post in the area, when we did that tier change and zone change a year and a half ago, we posted 7 locations, one right across from all this that's in discussion now, 6 other locations within the county notifying the public that there is a zone change and a tier change. We posted on the state public notice website, the county notice website, and in our building where the planning department office is. Those are the places they tell us we need to notify. There are some circumstances that we don't even have to notify landowners, but we've gone a step further and says we're going to post so that they know that we're doing something. Okay, so state law has changed, knowing that money is always an issue in that to try to make it easier. Could we do more? Yes, we could. That's a decision as a commissioner and staff that we would have to sit down and talk about to see where that money and funding would come from. $15 on a tax bill is not going to be enough to pay for what it would cost for funding and paying for that. Because what about the other $5,000? They don't agree to that $15. So that's something as staff we would want to talk about. But as far as state law, they have complied. We have complied. We felt, and I wish Sam was in here because we did talk about it, and we've talked about it quite a bit, that if we post on site and note on the heavy traffic areas, on the state website, the county website, and the courthouse, and in our Justice Center building, that we would meet the state law requirements for posting and advertising in zone change and tier change. Does that work? Any questions?
Not on that. No. We've talked about this quite a bit.
Okay.
Offline. So
Okay.
Terry and I have.
I'm just curious if the adjacent landowners that are going to be affected by that, if that certified letter or however they would be notified could be put on their tax assessment.
That's something we could look at doing that way, if we could do it that way. We could also work on putting it back to the applicant that wants to do the zone change, i.e. this one, the Nichols and the Brindleys. When we do that tier change, that would be the county putting that out. So that's something we would have to talk about and look into on that one. Because when we did the tier change, that was partly because of Parowan's request to shrink in that tier 2 and their growth area to bring it down into a more manageable area for them. That's why the tier change, the zone change, a lot of that happened is because the request of Parowan to try to bring that growth area back in because it was getting out there a long ways. That's what we're working on in the Cedar Valley right now, is that growth area is out there a long ways. So we're trying to work with the city and all them to get an area that's more manageable with that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Here we go again. We're supposed to post the property Was my property posted? Somebody tell me that my property was posted for the zone change. I heard it was out there on Holyoke Lane someplace. I don't know where the postings were. Was Brentley's property posted? Was the Robbins property posted as a possible zone change? Questions? I think skirting the fact that people ought to know what's going to happen is smacks of something that's not quite right. People need to know what's going on in the neighborhood. So, the question is, was my property posted? And I got this zone and that zone and that now. I know I've got this issue of I was zone 5 acres a while ago. Now I'm not. Interesting. Is this not interesting, guys?
You have a comment?
Yeah, well, I've got a comment, and I want to make a motion because it's my turn, but
Okay.
go ahead.
We're still technically in the public.
Yeah, I know, but you got to finish that.
Okay. Any other comments? So we'll declare the public hearing closed. Any comments or questions from commission?
Not yet. I
Well,
deferred.
I'm
No,
gonna-
I would.
Okay.
Oh,
I would
well-
like to make some comments on a motion, but
Okay.
so you go ahead.
No, I'm a little perplexed with this one. I welcome Commissioner Cousins'
Okay,
comments.
Well, here we go. So it's not very often that I go against the Planning Commission's recommendation, but on this situation, I look at that skinny piece of property by the freeway. I think anybody in their right mind would be crazy to build a house there. What about a car that comes off the freeway and goes through your living room? I think it's a taking of that property. I think that's the only that should be commercial property right along the freeway. As far as the other 16.87 acres that's proposed for a RV storage, and I understand the point that they could sell this, but I don't know. I guess we can't guarantee it. But I grew up in Moab, and I grew up right next to a cemetery. And people always used to ask my dad. They used to say, "Doesn't that bother you living by a cemetery?" He said, "No, they're the quietest neighbors we have." And I kind of look at this in the same way. RV storage and some signs along the freeway. I don't think there's going to be a lot of traffic. But I believe that the properties along the freeway, that's a good use for them for commercial. And so that would be my motion, is to approve this, to go ahead and approve the zone change to the Iron County zoning map, zone change from RA 20, rural agriculture 20 acre, to C commercial on approximately 22.48 acres located near 200 South and 2400 West, Par 1, Utah. That's my motion.
Trying to articulate a question. I think so with and I've spent a lot of time on this. The maps, I've spent a lot of time with surrounding property owners. I think there's another issue that we couldn't bring up today because it wasn't agendized with another piece of property right there. With that, and that issue's probably going to come up next commission meeting, but I'm gonna go ahead and second that motion. I think there's a lot that needs to still go into this. Dan Jessen's here from Parowan City. I've got questions for Dan, but I really believe at this point that skinny 5 acres, there is no other use for that besides a commercial use. It just doesn't make any sense. And I'll speak briefly to the other issue that we're not going to make a decision on today, but Ray Adams got up and spoke about that piece of property that the Adams Family Trust owns that has always been zoned commercial, and then with this tier change was taken out of commercial and put into RA5, and their family didn't realize that. Now, if you go directly to the north of that property, you've got the equipment rental that's zoned commercial.
And the Maverick.
And that was annexed into Parowan City. So when you look at I think we need to address that, the Adams property. It's always been zoned commercial and then was removed. I mean, I think ultimately that's appropriate to go back into commercial, and that's a discussion for another meeting. But that would make that 5-acre piece of Frank's contiguous.
Not totally. There's a strip.
Is there a strip there?
There's
Okay.
There's
Okay.
There's no homes down there, but it extends clear to the freeway.
Okay.
That's small.
But I'm.
It's the Robbins property that's residential.
Okay. All right.
So your motion was to approve.
Yes.
And I'll second.
There's a motion to approve, and it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Sorry?
Do you have anything to add that would?
I can just clarify a few of the things that were said.
That would be helpful. Just I think on the record, if that's okay with
Go ahead,
the.
Dan.
I just came up to answer questions. And
That's good.
I don't.
Frank has asked, Dan Jessen, Parowan City Manager. Frank asked several times, what does the city want in regards to this? And the city only officially wants something when there's an application and the planning commission makes a recommendation and then the legislative body decides, right? It's a legislative decision, just like the zone change is. What I can say is what the general plan says. If it stays in the county, it's always county jurisdiction. When we do have an annexation boundary, which is a statement of whether or not it's considered to be annexed, and we also have a future land use map called the Flume, which is a part of our general plan that says if something were to be annexed, what would the zoning be? And in this area, both of them are contained in city planning documents. In fact, this property that's being considered is the very last property that is inside our annexation policy plan ultimate boundary. We just literally on Thursday were discussing whether to tighten that boundary in. There was a proposal made, and it was ultimately defeated. So our annexation, Brett, note that our annexation boundary, ultimate boundary, never changed. It's the same as it was, and it sounds like it will be for a while.
Are you talking about your annexation declaration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it does include this. This is the last property.
Would include this property.
It would include this property, meaning theoretically, the west line of this property is the west line of that ultimate.
Line.
So someday, regardless of this zone change or not, someday it could be annexed in if the property owner wants to come in, and it has contiguous properties to city limits. We don't annex islands. So what I said to Frank from the start was, in order to even have a legal annexation request, you would have to have property owners connecting you to the existing city limits. And that's not the case today. So we couldn't even legally consider an annexation of this property without other properties coming with it. Now, speaking to the zoning, around interchanges, typically we have commercial and industrial and things like that. And that's the case in Parowan. It's generally the highest and best use of the land because that's where you have traffic that can get on and off and interface with businesses and things like that. And that's the case here as well. Interestingly, here we have commercial surrounding our interchanges. We have some industrial on the south end. We have some industrial future use. And that is the case for almost all of the parcels immediately around the interchange. And then actually this property on our currently designated plan still has it in agricultural, which is odd. Most everything in the city at some point will become some type of non-agricultural use, but it is on on our old plan, and it's an old plan. I think it was done in 2003. It still shows this parcel as ag, but it would be contiguous with everything else that's commercial and agricultural. So when they asked me about if they were to annex, what would the zone be, and I would say, well, they would have to look at it at the time and see what was around it and did it make sense. In other words, it wouldn't necessarily be a spot zone from our zoning map. Now, it may be for uses if you have residential use next to it. So anyways, that's just all the information. We're indifferent until the point there's an application. But any other questions for me? Okay, sounds like it doesn't matter anyways, but in the future as it grows out, it might matter. So thanks guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to number 2 in the agenda.
Thank you all for destroying our quality of life. You didn't even think about what you were doing when you made that motion. We live out there.
There's a thing called property rights, sir, and it's not going to ruin your life. I promise you.
It's not a property right. You just changed that zone, and it's wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Thank you.
You don't care about people who live here. All you care about is money.
That's not true.
That's
100% true. You don't care.
Have a good day.
Public hearing, discussion, and possible approval of amendments to the Iron County zoning ordinance 2026-2, including definitions in section 17.2, 0.010, table of uses in section 17.16030, guest house regulations in section 17.36.270, and a new section 17.36.700 for vehicle storage lots. Be presented by Brett Hamilton.
I know it's a mouthful there, but so this slide just kind of covers what the chair went over. So there's 4 main sections of the code that are proposed to have some amendments: the table of uses, definitions, guest house section, and a new section, vehicle storage lots. So I'll just go through each one. So for the first section, the table of uses, this lists all of the proposed changes. So the majority of them are proposals to go from conditional use permits to administrative land use permits. So uses that we feel don't necessarily reach the level of needing a conditional use permit, but where they can likely be done on an administrative level. So that would include several of them, including indoor recreation, park and ride facility, retirement home, telecommunications site. And then there's others, such as the top one where it's currently allowed with a conditional use permit. So that'd be the correctional institution, to eliminate that from the commercial zone. So it would still be allowed in a couple of the other zones, but removal from that commercial zone. And then when it comes to educational, there's kind of 4 different related uses that play into this. You've got educational facility that would be replaced by a would replace the 2 existing uses, a private educational facility and a public educational facility. Both of those, if you look in the definition, they're very, very similar. They really have no distinguishing factors. They're allowed in the same zones. They allow the same things, so we felt like we could just combine those public and private into just one educational facility and leave, the use categories and everything the same.
What initiated this, Brett? This change?
So most of these were initiated just from staff. So, I came in here 6 months ago. There's some of these things that, looking at them, didn't make sense to me. You've got some definitions, but they aren't in the use table. So like that one would be the trade or vocational school. We have a definition for it, but we don't have it in the use table. So it's just kind of a cleanup more of the use table to hopefully provide a little more consistency between the uses and the definitions. Guest house, we'll get into that a little bit more, but and then again, trade or vocational school, a new use but an existing definition, although there is proposals to modify the definition a little bit to distinguish it from an educational facility, because there's different impacts that an educational facility would have versus a trade or vocational school. And then our proposed vehicle storage lot. And I'll jump into that more when we get into that specific section. But this just shows the use table with all those proposed changes that were there. All of the new uses there in blue, and then crossing out some of the C's for A's for conditional use permit to administrative land use permit. So as far as definitions, we can go through each one. Kind of already summarized it a little bit already, but for the educational facility, just essentially removing the definition for private and public, merging it into a single definition for educational institution, or excuse me, for our educational facility, making modifications to the educational institution. That is not a use, it's more when you're looking at adjacency to other properties. So they use the terminology in the Code of Educational Institution. So it's looking more at setbacks, separation distances from other requirements and things like that. So clarifying that. Again, modifying the trade or vocational school definition to give it a little bit more distinction from the educational facility. And then the new use with the new definition for a vehicle storage lot. And that essentially plays into the personal storage facility. So the personal storage facility, the definition was really for storage of personal items within buildings, and so we just clarified that and also provided a distinction. So we've got both inside storage types of facilities and then outside storage facilities, so that we have two separate uses and there's not confusion when we're trying to decide, well, what is it? We know, is it in a building? Okay, it's personal storage facility. Is it outside? It's a vehicle storage lot. Okay, so for guest houses, currently we require an administrative land use permit for any guest house that anybody wants to do. So the proposal is for any of the zones that allow a guest house, allow that first guest house to just be by right. So they just basically have to obtain a building permit for that. So rather than having to go through the administrative land use process, they just go straight to a building permit. The only zones that allow more than a single guest house is A20, RA20, and RR20. So again, what we've done, and you'll see here on the next slide, is basically to put all of these standard regulations. We'd have those as conditions of approval on all the administrative land use permits. So we felt like rather than have everybody have to, go through that process of additional time and money, we would just put those standard conditions that we have, make them regulations within the guest house section so that everybody knows what the requirements are, and then they obtain a building permit for it. So guest houses are probably the number one administrative land use permit that we process. So it would help with efficiency as well, to be able to kind of focus on other things rather than kind of doing these standard administrative processes that we think could be done as just a standard building permit. Okay, and then that new proposed use, the vehicle storage lot. In summary, the regulations are that in order to do it, you'd require a minimum half-acre lot. If it's adjacent to residential, you'd have to have that storage area be set back a minimum of 25 feet. It would have to be screened from public view by either walls, fencing berms, or landscaping, kind of leaving it open for how it's going to be screened. And then all the stored vehicles there must be operable, registered, and well-maintained, essentially to distinguish it from having it turn into a junkyard or something like that. And then storage areas must be hard surfaced with adequate drainage, and then exterior lighting being minimal, shielded to kind of protect the night sky. So one thing I'll point out, and that's why I made those blue there just so that I could remember. So at the Planning Commission meeting, they had questions on, well, what does hard surfaced mean? Do we want to get more specific on the lighting rather than just saying shielded, downward directed? So their recommendation was approval of these proposed changes, but they also added the point in there that they recommended that staff come back with a little bit more detail at a future date to kind of fine-tune what hard surface means, and also to maybe get more specific on lighting so that we have more specific standards on that. So, and again, that's the specific language that we just kind of went over in summary. But that's all those proposed changes. So if there's not any questions, we can go into a public hearing on this.
Chair declares a public hearing open. Is there any comments? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I would move for approval of amendments to the Iron County zoning ordinance 2026-2, including definitions in section 17.20.010, table of uses in section 17.16.030, guest house regulations in section 17.36.270, and a new section 17.36.700 for vehicle storage lots.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Topic number 3, discussion regarding the Escalante Valley Housing Authority. It's like you were listening somewhere else, huh? The Escalante Valley Housing Authority status and cooperation with Iron County, presented by Sam.
How's everybody doing today? We've got, forgive me, Marv, what's your last name?
Bracken.
Bracken is here. He's visited with my office. And anyway, long story short, when I initially received some communications from Mr. Bracken, I was somewhat skeptical of there even being a housing authority out there because I'd never heard of it, and they were not registered with the state at the time. And I said, okay, come in, let's talk. And I familiarized myself with the code. But he was able to provide me with a copy of minutes with Commissioners Keith Smith, Ivan Matheson, and Dee Robinson. It was a resolution from, my goodness, where does this go back? 1970, March of 1970.
That goes way back.
Yeah.
Before I was born.
And it was a resolution creating the Escalante Valley Housing Authority. So they are real. They do exist. And so, long story short, in my interactions with Mr. Bracken, he was just looking for some input from the commission on just a couple of things. In February of 1983, Mr. Scott J. Thorley issued a letter to the Escalante Valley Housing Authority indicating that the Iron County Commission really didn't want anything to do with the Escalante Valley Housing Authority. They said, you're your own entity. You go ahead and take care of business. I can give a copy of this to Ginny for the minutes, or John if you want to have that for the record. But two things for the commission's consideration today. The first is just the commission's willingness to work with the housing authority on becoming compliant. Obviously, they will maintain as their own entity, but in speaking with Mr. Dotson, he was willing to have at least the county attorney's office engage with them on a limited basis to help them get up and running so they can be sustainable again. And wanted the commission's input on that if you feel like we should be extending a hand of help, or if you feel like, again, they should work internally and hire legal counsel themselves. The second consideration for the county commission is with respect to some financial obligations of the housing authority. I want to say it was just a couple of years ago that we started assessing property taxes. Is that correct? And I'll have Mr. Bracken come up and speak as well if he wants. But in reviewing, historically, the housing authority was not assessed property taxes, apparently. And then in reviewing the code, this is under Title 35A, Chapter 8. And if we go to section 426, 35A-8-426. Apparently, the public body, that is the county, can accept payment from the authority, the housing authority, in lieu of taxes. That suggests some kind of recognition of the work that they do for low-income housing in lieu of taxes. I probably need to spend some more time with that statute and get a better understanding and interpretation of that. I'm not suggesting the commission make one decision or another, but that was one part of the code that stood out, and I believe that is the intention of the Housing Authority, to ask that the county does go back to allowing them to be exempt from the property tax as a kind of a quasi-body of Iron County. But those are the two considerations for the commission today. What questions do you have that we can have Mr. Bracken answer, or myself? I've gone through a few of the things, but those are what we're talking about.
I will start then. It's good to see you guys do actually earn your money. Maybe just a little background, this much. We thought we were fine, that everything, we had a love affair with the county commission and everything was just fine till we started to reorganize our board, and we found out maybe we don't even exist. And we went back to find this.
I'll bet the meetings were fun though, weren't they?
I contacted the state commission. No, we don't have any Escalante Valley housing. And then they sent me to the lieutenant governor's office. Nope, we don't know. So here we are.
Do exist.
Speaking of the thing, maybe the tax part just a little bit. It was formed for migrant housing out there and low income. So a penny saved here and a penny saved there helps us maintain that status of low income housing. You know, one way or the other, it's probably not going to make or break us, but it's just the way.
Is this a housing across from the community center to the east?
No,
Power?
that's Mr. Holt's.
That's Holt's.
Ours is pretty much adjacent to probably the power company up there. It's right along Highway 56, just before you.
Okay.
Yeah, across from the state road would be
the Burl Housing Complex.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
color
kind of yellowish, beigeish buildings.
That's what I
on
thought.
The north
Yeah,
side
isn't
of the
that
road.
isn't that to the east of the Burl Community Center?
That'd be to the west.
East of Dixie Power. Okay, because those are like northwest a little bit of Dixie Power, the one I'm thinking of. So okay. How many homes are we talking?
As a law enforcement officer, I'm very aware of the Burl Housing.
Frequent flyer mileage at the Burl Housing.
Shame on you. We have upstanding people.
I know.
there.
You know what? Well, it's a long story, but it's way better than it used to be.
We have some good tenants. We have some excellent management there that does some good screening.
Oh God, it's this right there. Sorry, I was just showing him on Google Earth where it is.
Well, that's all right. I forgot where we were.
I've got lots of real good stories that go back to Wayne Holt and Tim Holt going to that facility. So.
Well, these units, the authority was established in '70. The units were built shortly thereafter, but I mean they're 50 years old, and we're challenged to put some money back into them again. You know, $1 here and $1 there. So anything. Just a question I had, Mr. Woodall. You were supposed to find this, and I would have to look for it again. As I read through some of the statutes, it appeared that in order to form a housing authority, a city or a county, someone with that jurisdiction, had to form a limited use entity, which is what we're classified as. And I don't know whether we can go file with the lieutenant governor's office as a limited use entity, or I'm not sure which route we would have to go there, or whether that has to come through the county or a city authority for us to exist.
So help me understand this. So So you're wanting to become a legitimate housing authority for those structures and get and not have to pay property taxes, so you can take that income and put it back into the units. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the property tax is a gimme. I mean, no, what we really need. Okay, time out. We started to reorganize the board and we said, okay, Marvin's the only guy that can sign checks, and he's not a kid anymore. Maybe we ought to get some signatures from some other people. We went to the bank to do that, and they said, you're not registered anywhere.
Right.
We can't do this. So we're kind of hung out to dry until we can become
legit
somebody.
So,
and that's what we need.
But you have been operating as the housing authority all these years.
Yes, we
and
have.
So, and remind me your name, ma'am. Miss Platt has been taking notes and keeping records.
She's the bookkeeper.
I am the lowly bookkeeper.
You look like a really good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, she legitimizes that in my mind. So it's not just people meeting together. She's literally keeping records and writing notes and stuff. So I think this is more of a formality in terms of just getting your buy-in to say, yeah, we should help them get back on their feet.
Get organized and be recognized.
And my view of that was that it will be your board that organizes, that registers with the state, but I can help you do that. But it won't be Iron County doesn't need to register with the state. It'll be the housing authority. Because as you search in the state's entity for housing authorities, there actually aren't that many housing authorities throughout the state. Beaver has one, Emory has one, Salt Lake County has one, southeastern Utah or Grand and San Juan County joined up to have their own. But interestingly, I don't see Cedar City's on there. Isn't there a Cedar City Housing Authority?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're not on the entity search when I look at that, so maybe they're doing the same thing.
Awesome.
I don't know.
It's low-income housing. It's,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Heidi Miller, isn't it?
The
Isn't it
state
Heidi?
incorporations website has made it a little more difficult to do those kind of things, and I think a lot of folks just haven't jumped through those extra hoops, and you probably haven't looked at it in decades.
No,
Yeah. So there's a technical challenge there. I think you've got between the record keeping that has happened and the fact that in 1970 the commissioners, and it's all there on the screen, they appointed Vern Pickrell, Briner Wood, Norman Lobb, Russell Christensen, and Alfred Peterson to serve on that board. I mean, I think there's a shade of legitimacy there. So.
Just a shade.
It's literally an action by the county. This body, just maybe before all of us.
Just
almost all of
55
us
years
were born.
ago.
So from my perspective, this legitimizes their work from 1970 on. I don't think there needs to be another action by this body to legitimize them. We just are looking to get your nod of approval to get them up and running. I saw that Beaver County has some articles of incorporation. Those are fairly easy to draft if we don't already have a copy on file with the Escalante Valley Housing Authority, so we can again just formalize what needs to be done.
So would we just vote to give them a letter saying that we support your efforts?
Yes, that would be one way to do it, or you could just verbalize that in a motion. Move to support helping them get legitimized again with the state, registered with the state, however you want to word that. And then the second action item would just be what you want to do with the property tax issue.
So, I'm sorry.
Can you
Well,
step
would you
to
come
the
up
mic?
and so we
Have
can
we
hear
been
you?
charging property taxes on those structures?
Well, no, and maybe Sam, you could give that background too.
Sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Our question is, originally, the county commission approved the board. So what we're asking is, can you approve our board so we can function?
So administratively, it's not. I guess it really would be a legislative decision, wouldn't it?
Like it would be similar to just the other boards that we.
That was what I was going to
don't
suggest.
meddle
that
in, but we do approve.
Well, we track several bodies that have members that serve throughout the community, and I think I would like, if the commission is okay with it, to add this to that, and then maybe even have the commissioners consider assigning one of themselves to be the liaison to the Escalante. What is it?
Escalante Valley Housing Authority of Iron County
Yeah.
is its legit title.
Terry's volunteering to be the appointed.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, Terry,
I'm going
you-
to try to
you-
help you out just a little bit right here because
right.
I've got other motives behind this. Commissioner
Shame on
Cousins
you,
going to
but
know where
go
I'm
for
at.
it. Okay.
Building official for Iron County, Terry Palmer. I wasn't up and talked to Sam a little bit this morning about it, and it just dawned on me. This is another option that we have for our moderate income housing, I think, for that low income housing program that we have to try to come together. If we justify this again, I think that's one more step we show that we're trying to work with that moderate income housing report.
Also-
That moderate income housing and say, hey, we've got this now. We're working out there. We're working here. So I think we can help them out if we do okay this and go through. We can put that on that report to the state.
Yeah.
Well, and I would like to tack on one more win possibly there. For quite a few years, the state has required for any redevelopment agency to set aside 10% of their the monies that are set aside for housing. We haven't ever spent a penny of that money. I'm not saying this is where it should go, but I'm wondering if you all ought to have some conversations in light of that, and in light of that, I mean, there's potentially a double, triple positive there.
So how many units are in there?
There's 28 units.
28 units. That's not a lot, but we put 28 units out there in that Burrow Valley. There's low-income housing. That shows that we are working with the community to try to improve some low-income housing. I have been around, not around the legal side and the law enforcement side, but it's been there as long as I remember. Going to elementary school, we'd always go out there, pick up potatoes in the fields, and it's always been there. So I think this would be a good move to help with Mr. Bracken and get this housing authority back if we can do that. But it is yours, but that's just, I want to put that in.
That's the Escalante Housing
Statement, look at that as favorable, that we are
Yeah, it's,
working with it, try to work on
promotion.
Moderate income housing.
Ms. Platt, how long has it been since they started assessing property tax on those again?
I'm looking at it right here.
It's been at least 3 years, I think.
So 2023.
Yeah, we were never, like I say, I'm just the bookkeeper, but we were never even assessed any property tax until just, and it's my understanding that it was a change. It happened when the change in assessor or who?
Well,
I think so. I'm probably lying and don't even know it. But I talked to the assessor, and apparently a previous assessor had just been kind to us and rolled us over into the tax exempt.
Well, we are a tax exempt. In fact, we use your tax exempt number in what we purchase and
what was the
we
official
do
name of this again? Escalante Housing Authority?
Escalante Valley Housing Authority of Iron County.
Escalante Valley Housing Authority of Iron County. Okay. All right. So I'm ready to make a motion if Mr. Chair, if you're ready.
Good.
You're good?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
So I will move to give a letter of support for the Escalante Valley Housing Authority of Iron County so they can become legitimate with the state, and also appoint a liaison to your board through the commission, one of the commissioners, and also we, as you recommend board members to us, we can approve those in a public meeting to help legitimize your effort. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Be 4 of them.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
You do exist.
Well, you do after you go to the state.
Okay.
Get that working.
Been existing for a long time.
Gentlemen.
You are recognized.
Along with that,
Maybe
and the
that's
county
it.
attorney's office they're good boys.
This is a mute point now, but I just, it's probably information you need to know. This is your fault.
Thank you.
He said there was some money out there. One of the things that plagues us out there is our water supply and problems with wells, and it can happen anytime. You said you had some money. I know where to
see what
spend
I
it.
did.
But just a teeny little wedge here. The housing does supply the water for Iron County's firehouse that's out there, the fire facility.
Oh.
When we built the firehouse, we run the line from the housing over to the firehouse. So,
well, thank you.
So, see, you're obligated. Anyway, okay, like I say,
Thank you, Mr.
that's
Brown.
just information.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And commissioners, I did want to just say, because of the weirdness of how our schedule started this year, I did want to bring back the commission assignments and review the boards. We usually do that once pretty thoroughly annually, and then you all make changes throughout the year. But I'm hoping to do that next meeting. So I'll probably even put that on the agenda as an item.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be really good. Sorry, I've picked up a cold. Item number 4 is public comments. Board declares open for public comments. Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 5 is annual Iron County Bee Inspector report presented by Blaine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blaine.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Blaine Ney, the Iron County Bee Inspector. A little background. This position is required by state law. The Utah Bee Inspection Act requires each county to have at least one inspector to monitor the health of honeybees in the county. And I've been doing this for, I guess, about 10 years. What we're doing is we're looking for, well, the honeybee is a little bit different from most other livestock in that it has to be allowed to roam all over the place to find the resources it needs to survive. You can't fence them in like you can your chickens. So they've got to be able to roam up to 8 miles in search of nectar, pollen, and water. And that makes them really vulnerable to spread disease. If there's a colony over here that's dying from disease, there'll be colonies of bees going over there to steal the honey from that collapsing colony. And they'll pick up disease and parasites and take them back. And so it spreads really bad, really quickly. So my job is to go out and inspect hives, identify the problems, and help the beekeeper resolve them before they get out of hand. In 2025, I inspected, in Iron County, inspected 30 bee yards and a total of 87 colonies in those 30 yards. Some of them had multiple inspections during the year. My findings are, you'll see on the last page. I found one colony with American foul brood. This is a bacterial disease, a spore-forming disease. The spores are viable for up to 80 years. So that hive is basically contaminated and unusable forever. It can be sterilized to the wood. The box can be sterilized. The combs cannot be. The appropriate treatment is to dig a pit, put the equipment in there, burn it, and bury it. And we have to bury it because the fire is going to burn the wax and the wood, but not necessarily honey. There's too much moisture there. So we have to bury it and hope it's not dug up before all those spores are decomposed. So that's what we had to do with this colony. We were able to salvage the boxes. Everything else was burned and buried. Found 7 cases of European foul brood. This is another bacterial disease, but it doesn't form the spores. But it remains in the equipment for 3 or 4 years. So we have to monitor those for a few years to make sure that it doesn't resurface. And what we can do with European foul brood We can treat it with antibiotics. That helps the colony deal with the disease. And it's like any other disease that we humans have. It can be precipitated or exacerbated by stress. So we can make sure that these colonies are well nourished, and that helps them deal with the disease. And hopefully in 3 or 4 years it's gone. So I'll continue to monitor those. And then I found 2 cases of chalk brood, which is a fungal disease. There's no treatment for that. So you remove what's the combs that have the fungus in it, and replace with new equipment, new combs, and continue to monitor it. And again, that's related to stress. If the colony's well nourished, it usually recovers from it. And in 4 cases of parasitic mite syndrome, has an unfortunate acronym there. We have a parasite. It's a mite that we imported from Asia that is our number 1 cause of colony death. Responsible beekeepers want to do a mite count to monitor the mite level. We count the mites every month, around from spring until fall. And the way we do that is take a half a cup of bees. That's about 300 bees. Put them in some alcohol or powdered sugar. The alcohol, of course, is fatal, but with the powdered sugar, we can shake it up, agitate it, knock the mites off. Shake the mites out through some number 8 hardware cloth onto a white surface, spray with some water, and we can count the mites. And we don't want more than 6 mites out of 300 bees. And so if we keep the level low, the mites aren't a problem. But a lot of the beekeepers are not doing those monitorings. And when I do a count, I see a really high mite count. And the high count I found this year was 93 mites, and the limit is 6. And when it gets above about 15, 20 mites and a half cup of bees, that colony's not going to survive.
Fatal to the colony, isn't it?
And so I've found 4 colonies this year that's where they were. And again, as that colony collapses from the effects of these mites and the viruses that they spread, other bees from other colonies are going to come and steal that honey and take mites home with them. So it spreads really quickly. So I've been working with these beekeepers to address the problems that they have. And every beekeeper in the county that I've worked with has been very, very cooperative. So we have good people working bees. Any questions for me?
No.
We appreciate you, Blaine.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm glad to do it.
Kind of a thankless job, but we appreciate it.
I do it for a selfish reason. I think I told you last year. I figure if everybody else has got healthy bees, I don't have to worry about mine. So I'm selfish about this. Thank you.
I'm glad somebody's willing to do it. Thanks, Blaine.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6, 2026 cooperative agreement for Utah State University Extension Services.
Yeah, so this is kind of a boilerplate renewal. I think the discussion about the facilities probably ought to be a separate discussion. But this is basically their agreement. This has their budget, some of the things they talk about. I don't know if you've had a chance to review this, but kind of reflects their goals. And yeah, that's about it.
Is this in line with our budget that we set for them in our budget meeting?
Yes, Luke, have you had a chance to review the USU renewal and their budget stuff? Okay. I mean,
239,982 is what they've got in here.
Yeah.
Set budget, they had that included, but I can double check and see if that's the same.
But
wouldn't we want to know that before we vote on it?
It's reasonable, and I don't know that it's an emergency to vote on it. So, Is that money that we pay?
Yes.
Okay.
So can we get that information, table this till the next meeting, or?
Yeah, or even circle back to it in a few minutes.
You can go check
Yeah.
that. Okay, so we'll move on. Item number 7, discussion and possible approval extension of professional service contract for wildlife mitigation technologies. Mike Worthen.
Mike Worthen, I'm the natural resource specialist for Iron County currently. This amendment to my contract allows me to continue working with the county in a different capacity than I'm currently in. The announcements for the natural service or natural resources specialist has gone out, and I understand there's been a selection made, and the individual will start the 2nd of March, and I've agreed to continue on as I'm doing during this until he's on, which would require 2 months of my contract to be continued, and then I would like to change the contract to just allow me to do equipment work on the trails, on the OHV trails, and whatever else the county sees necessary. And that's basically it.
That's Mike. That's just going out and playing on our toys.
A lot of experience and resource that you bring to the position. Yes.
I'm just teasing.
So you should be paying us.
I was going to say that, but I didn't go that far, John.
Oh, sorry, there I went too far.
The funds required to cover this is in a grant, so it doesn't cost the county anything.
What do you know what the number is?
Yeah, 24, 25, right between 24 and 25,000.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I'll approve the extension of professional service contract for wildlife mitigation technologies for Michael V. Worthen.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Welcome aboard.
I really
Can't wait to work
enjoyed
with you.
working with the commission.
You're awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
You've done a
Mike.
Great job.
Item number 8, discussion on possible approval of resolution 2026-1 supporting culinary water hauling when locally regulated. Mike Blake.
All right. I'll speak to this one. I was approached by Marietti from the Republican Party and a local realtor with some concerns about, and I guess, and Paul could probably give a little more background maybe, is with the 5-county.
I can give some if you
Would you give some background? That'd be helpful.
So we're actually, so I've got a meeting in St. George this Wednesday. We're having a work meeting on this. We voted on this years ago. So water hauling, let's see, they basically, I think they would allow, they would allow water hauling if it's seasonal, if it's 180 days or less, correct? Is that what we've had on our books? And so we've got a work meeting in St. George to relook at this because 5-county has the same rule for all 5 counties. And it's the challenge we have, and this is a really difficult topic because like for instance in Kane County there's development over there that's like it's an 80-acre subdivision. They're like 20-acre lots, and they'll never have a central water system for that subdivision. They just won't. They can't afford it. And so but they need septic systems to take, and they've got some really nice cabins, but they need septic systems, and so they need to be able to haul water to make those work. And so the one size all approach doesn't really work. We're gonna, in this work meeting, I will probably be supporting a change to where each county looks at their own county and handles it individually versus a whole one. Cut the bandage to fit the wound per se. instead of one 5 county dictating everything for everything. The challenge we've had on this is we want to encourage. You'll have a one-off cabin somewhere out in the sticks where, you know, I would actually, this resolution, I agree with it, but I'd like to actually see it go a little further. Where if you have a one-off hunting cabin out in the sticks and you want to haul water to it and have a septic system, I think that's great. I think we should approve that in Iron County, all year round even, and not do seasonal. Here's the challenge and Mike, sorry it takes so long, but
No, it's good.
But the challenge we had, and this was what's really difficult, is you've got Bryan Head, for instance, and Bryan Head, they might have a street they developed, and you might have 20 lot owners on that street. And if you take all 20 lot owners to pool their money, they can run water and sewer up that street and connect for probably maybe the same or less. I don't know. And water hauling is a pain. And so it's a tough thing because we want to be able to support Bryan Head in continuing to build out their infrastructure so people will hook up to it. And there's another element to this, which is septic density surveys. We don't want there to be so many septic tanks in a small confined subdivision that it contaminates the water supply with nitrates, because once you do, you're in big trouble. You can never clean it up. And that's evidence in Enoch out by Ladybug Nursery. They had 2 municipal wells. They had so many septic tanks, the nitrates got into the water supply and ruined that water forever. So they had to cap those wells and drill new wells, which is extremely expensive. And once you ruin your water, and that's why before Brett, before you came on, Reed spent a lot of time on the septic density survey for Canaryville, for Paraguna, for Newcastle, for these small communities, basically saying, and if you look at it, it almost seems like a taking. If it's not an established platted lot, and maybe you could build on a lot that was 1 acre before, we've changed that to where you have to have 5 acres. And we've done that to protect their own water source, to help them. I mean, it seems like a taking, but it's really to protect them in the long run. And I think this is the growing pains of a community like Canaryville or Paraguna, to encourage them to put in a sewage system of their own. So that's the growing pain of this situation. I support this resolution. I think we got to go a little bit further with it, and we'll be discussing that in St. George. But we've got to. It's just tricky. It was probably one of the harder votes I've ever made before, because you want to have property rights. You want people to be able to do what they want with their own property, but yet you want to also protect our water sources too. So anyway, does that give you some?
Yeah, and I think the importance of this. You know, if somebody has property that they're willing to put a septic system on, a septic system obviously is better than pooping on the ground, letting that wastewater run out on the ground. And for a septic system to work, there needs to be a water supply. And there's just those areas that, for instance, Meadows, Rainbows, Ranches, is that the up on the other side of Bryan Head, you know, there's septic systems up there, but there's never going to be a water supply up there. So I mean, really what the crux of this is instead of 5 county having a one size fits all, I think it's really important that that each individual county has some say in that as far as what our ordinances and our requirements are. So really what this resolution just says that we would support the county making those decisions moving forward is the crux of this resolution.
And I think the crux of it too is to basically show that I think Kane County passed the same resolution, and if it passes today, it basically, before our meeting on Wednesday, it just shows that, hey, this is what we want.
Yeah, we would really ask for the 5 county boards support of this type of a policy.
Right. So
we'll entertain a motion then.
Okay, you ready? So with that, I will move that we approve Resolution 2026-1, supporting culinary water hauling when locally regulated. And just to mention, there'll be more to come. We'll have more discussions on this, right? So,
absolutely. Yeah. Second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Luke, do you have the information you needed? So we'll go back to number 6, the cooperative agreement with Utah State.
Yeah, so I looked at
Extension.
their agreement, and that matches our budget
Oh,
for
good.
this year that was already approved. So I guess this is just on their side too.
So that total budget, 239,982 is the right number?
Yep.
Okay.
Terry, did you have discussion now that you wanted to, or take it up
Well, what I want to bring up
behind the scenes?
I don't know the whole agreement behind this. I did look at it a little bit this morning. Says that we will provide them floor area space for their offices. I don't know to what extent that means, how much they want, but right now, Josh, that is over. Josh Martin's contacted me. In fact, he texted me this morning to see if I could meet with him to get, because he wants more floor space. So I don't know where we're at. I've talked to Commissioner Blake about it, and he says that they are not paying actual rent on floor space there. It's part of the agreement and the contract, and I haven't read that, and that's not my side. But they've contacted me. They want more floor space for their offices because they say they don't have enough space.
We just built them that big shed in the back, right?
Thank you,
so we've
Commissioner
given them,
Cousins.
we've given them a lot. So,
We have. Sorry.
just saying.
No, it's a big shed.
We
The
built
big
them a
tough
shed. We got the Connex. They want to get the south half of that building where Fife County just vacated. They want that one. They want to move from the other end, from the north end to the south end. So they want more floor space. The problem we see in talking with other departments in that building, they don't even use that upstairs that they have full time anyway. So
how much bigger is the south than the north?
Square footage wise, you're probably going to add.
I don't know square footage wise, but it's significantly bigger, and the layout is significantly different. There's 6 vacant offices.
6 vacant offices.
Plus some
and
storage space and some IT
in
space.
a big open area. Their offices in the north end are smaller. The south ones are bigger. So significant. I'm betting there might be close to 1,000 square foot more. We've given them, they have the whole upstairs anyway. They've got the shed out back that we've done. We've got the Connex for storage out back, and they've got the north. They basically own all square footage inside that building the way it sits right now without paying rent. So I need direction as to how we want to look at this and talk to him. I was approached by, he's out there with the other 2 cowboy hats are out there talking. And I talked to Commissioner Blake about George possibly needing more space where he's hired a new help. George happened to hit me up this morning about office space for his new help that is.
Calling her the help. She's sitting right there, Terry. Good night. She has a name.
I have not met Cassie yet. I have not met her officially. Nice to meet you.
Cassie, Terry, Cassie.
So, George, and that's why George was supposed to be in here to tell me what he was looking at. But they want to get space for Cassie instead of put her in with all the guys out of the road department and give them space. And we looked at that. Does George need another office space for him?
So what will happen with George's space?
Well, that's what we're not sure. The road department's been trying to kick him out of there for a long time, so they have more space.
What the hell you done?
George,
That little
hey,
knob
Terry.
microphone if you
No,
will.
I don't care. This is
George-
a record. Right?
George has always been our red-headed stepchild, so.
I know he has, and that one's okay to be on record. What you
Gray-headed
asked.
step.
I am just telling him what you asked me this morning about
Okay.
getting office space for Cassie. And
No,
I have
I
not
asked you about bathroom facilities. I didn't say office space. I asked bathroom
Sorry.
facilities.
And I says, how about an office space? And he said, yeah, office space.
But you wouldn't need all that space.
No.
You just use one office or 2 offices, and
Couple
then
offices there.
And we could we could have another expand into that from the county or whatever.
I've talked with Commissioner Blake about some other options, but yes, and if we do that, and if we do go with that House Bill 48 and have to do more public service, more stuff with that, that would give them the foyer, that open space in the front. Public could come in and talk to them, could have information on that House bill for the wildland fire type stuff. It would give more off of that if we give them a couple spaces, and then we have some more space for county
Well,
offices.
this will be George's 15th move since I've been in.
I know, and I've helped him move quite a bit of that, and I'm tired of moving his treasures.
Keep in mind, commissioners and Terry, that in a year and a half, that we'll be moving into the public safety section of the new jail. So whatever we do is about a year and a half that we're going to have to be there.
So that
So
being
there
said,
is space in the new facility for your offices.
apparently so. He's walking away again.
I think
Apparently the two cowboy hats says there's
Is that true, Sheriff? Are you going to let him in your
Is he
facility?
invited?
HR is going to be upstairs above him, I'm assuming. HR is going to be there to regulate and control our silver-haired stepchild. So, no, but that's a discussion. Do we put the money into a remodel for a bathroom, or do we put what we have? We've always said we don't have it, and we don't. But we're also looking at a space for Amber still to add on, which the engineer's not got back with. So that's just my question is, what do we do with the floor space? Do I entertain Josh and the extension office to let them look at moving? Do we keep them where they're at? What do you want me to do?
My preference would be leave them where they're at, and put George in there, and then let us have some more room to grow.
Okay.
And with that, in that south side, we'd need to build a bathroom. There isn't a bathroom over there.
Really?
Well,
but
there's access.
But there's
right around the
access
back wall.
through the wall. It would be pretty easy to section off and plumb, because the plumbing's just on the other side of the wall.
But if we do put off the county offices in there again, we're going to want one, I think, in there too. So maybe this is an issue we sit down and visit with. I tell Josh to settle for a little bit. I'll sit down and visit with what we really want to look at that space for.
That's my choice.
But I don't know that we want to go giving more space away just yet. That's my 2 cents.
That was our conversation when we went and looked at it.
That's my thought.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So thank you for entertaining me, and I'm sorry, Cassie. Now I know who you are. I know your husband. I've worked with him. Sorry. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Trey.
So
Thank you.
skipping back to 6, we need a motion, I assume, on the cooperative
Yes.
agreement. So I'd move for approval of that cooperative agreement, 2026 cooperative agreement for Utah State University Extension Services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that takes us down to number 9. Discussion and possible update of the 2026 per diem and mileage rate presented by Luke.
Okay, so the per diem rates this year, we update these every January. And we go off of the GSA federal website. They didn't change for this year for the breakfast, lunch, dinner rates. So it is $16 for breakfast, $19 for lunch, and $28 for dinner. That can change based on the area that you're traveling to. Some areas have a higher per diem rate. If employees go on that gsa.gov website and look for the city they're going to, like for Salt Lake, for example, is I think $32 for dinner instead of the $28. When they turn in their per diem request form, they can print out that statement from the GSA website and get the higher rate if the city they're going to is higher. And then on the mileage rate, this is off of the IRS mileage rate. It did go up a couple cents, so it is 72.5 cents per mile for 2026. And we pay that out if there is not a fleet pool vehicle available for employees to drive. If there is a vehicle available and they just choose to take their own vehicle for business meeting or conference, wherever they're going, then we pay the lower rate that is basically just our cost, which is 42.8 cents per mile. So those are the two different mileage rates. And then we also have a lodging rate for people that are gone for work, but they stay with a family or friend. And that rate is $50 per night. So instead of us having to pay for a hotel room, they can stay with family and they'd get reimbursed $50 a night on that. Jennifer's going to go over the policy to update this in the handbook, but that's just some information there.
Do we vote on?
Does that need to be
this now? Or?
Okay. Yeah, you could vote.
So you ready for
those rates?
So I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, so I move to approve the update of the 2026 per diem and mileage rate as presented by Luke Littles.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll turn the mic over to Jennifer.
Perfect, thank you.
Open mic night.
Right? We'll
Pretty
go through
close.
1 through 6 first, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the policy after those considerations for approval. So in the sheriff's office, Josh Nilsson has elected to return to employment after retirement following within policy and has accepted the bailiff position in the sheriff's office effective 1/5 of 2026. Caden Burkdal was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time deputy position effective 1/5 of 2026. Carter Mitchell in the sheriff's office as well was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to fill the vacant full-time deputy 3 position effective 3/1 of 2026. In the IT department, Gabe Carlson, scratch that. Also in the sheriff's office, Gabe Carlson has elected to move from IT and was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to transfer from a full-time IT technician to a full-time sheriff's office deputy 1 effective 2/1 of 2026. For also sheriff's office, I apologize. Kristen Presidio was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to fill the vacant part-time administrative assistant position effective 1/26/2026. And Alyssa White is what she goes by, even though it's Carolyn legally. Alyssa White has accepted the offer to transfer from a part-time status to a full-time benefited status in the administrative assistant position beginning 1/18 of 2026. Sheriff's Office Corrections, both J.D. Allen and Brian Aguayo have passed the required testing to receive bilingual pay effective January 18th, 2026, and will follow policy as well. In the landfill, Jordan Hatch has completed all tasks and requirements to receive a promotion from a full-time technician 2 to a full-time technician 3 beginning 1/18/2026. Landfill, Thomas Lundstrom was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time technician 2 position, effective 2/2 of 2026. Maybe. There we go. Natural Resources, Brandon Barrow was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill a vacant full-time natural resource specialist position, effective 3/2 of 2026. In the Emergency Management Department, Cassie Meredith was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill fill the newly approved vacant full-time Community Wildfire Specialist position effective 2/20/2026. And I'm so glad she's here. Congrats. In the Assessor's Office, DMV, Tori Sessions was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to fill the vacant part-time, it's a brand new position, part-time Cedar City DMV technician position effective 1/20/26. And that's it for now.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll move for approval of the personnel. What's the word I'm looking for? Of personnel as outlined by Jennifer.
Second.
To this point.
Works.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect. And the last thing on the agenda is to update Section 15 to just mirror what Luke presented. And that is just Section A and 15 policies and procedures, and it's just reflecting those changes for the mileage for the vehicle reimbursements. Nothing else has changed other than those wordings.
I couldn't hear very well.
Oh, I
so we just
apologize.
need no, you're good. So we just need a motion to approve the same per diem.
Just to mirror that onto our personnel policies and procedures for employees to look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll entertain
do
a
that every
motion.
year.
So I'll move to do that to mirror our the per diem schedule for our policy
Perfect.
for our employee policy
Yes.
manual. Right.
Perfect.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
as HR director, can we get in trouble for calling George our redheaded stepchild? Or
You know what? As long as he's not filing a grievance, I think we're fine.
I think you crossed the line when you said gray-headed stepchild.
Not with me.
You know, I think he's been called worse. I don't.
All right. Now we'll move to do we have anything for county boards?
I don't.
And we'll kind of do a thorough going through of that and the commission assignment. Yeah.
Oh. I do. I have a question. I have a board question, but offline, and then we can address it next commission meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So entertain a motion to move to a closed session.
You want me to make that, Mike, or do you?
Yeah. Are we,
It's the
right on-
E. It's E.
E. All right.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, I move to enter closed session per UCA 52-4-205 1E for strategy session to discuss the sale of real property.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So do I need to?
Okay.
Chair declares the closed session ended. We are now back in open session.
Then you can just, chair declares adjournment.
So, chair declares this meeting adjourned.